remarks intended to cause violence around 14. These may be restricted. The government shows it serves compelling interest of the adoption of the First Amendment vaccine use outside of protecting intelligence and military assassin of the world class illiterate presenting with valid right words with their utterances like energy may be punished. The court forbid expression context of violence and framework that standards maximizing respectful beings contentious benefits of the case and the skip the weird like theory shit and the considered obligation to state to protect since the interest individual obligations are not applicable to public good 95. Use of the policy of interest and 30 on duty to public officials like require rights and ability to individual action to achieve job on elected to capable of acting to knowledge special information public rights to and due to those acts of application of valid experience for being here is 10. Multiple training specified thoughts and behaviors to consequential alternatives valid current experience about their experience also valid safety consequent quantity recommendation and moral uncertainty means to prevent understanding any ethical freedom from 11. Rules are here superior to rules may be crops and valid preserving our beliefs directly challenging the future to prevent any potential catastrophe and death is the worst form of evil to destroy the subject subpass 3. Death is logically destroys the critical subject and kind of explains but better or such evil be conscious feeling anything any person pastor making person objective evil doesn't mean that also primitive evil no consent which they give for excusing life or rejection of life can be warned depression will value contention one's innovation restrictions on free speech are rapidly increasing destroying educational environments later 16. Keep it sensitive reach evidence of 80% of center speech this poses a threat to academy understanding discovery and alignment is impossible to have conversation we make the case of free speech and campus meetings is a silence is occurs and then hamstrings innovation and universities require free exchange of knowledge is a prerequisite to education and regulation which transforming academies into authoritarian structures act of 13. Free taken by these natural like her book and discovery demonstrates the need we no other institution combines discovery with teaching freedom respect and fighting for the new is a very tyranny authoritarian majority opinion of the right and is a doctrine of justice and is a central function of the university or commission of the purpose of universities to foster free access to knowledge and policy to reject these arguments as speech communities oppressed by anybody to foster offensive and free speech in public colleges the key internal into scientific discovery campus speech restrictions lawful worst forms of forces Q stated and culture open debate is key to advance the economy 16. Certain speech on Western campuses help to orientate regime just by much harsher restrictions as from lands that the democracies criminalize those who glorify tyranny social religion science cannot develop unless alternatives are created when China orders economies to offer opportunity music forecast guarantees policy making will inform that many public college should expose and challenging ideas and content innovation in the chemical industry is key to check emerging diseases and nurses too. Advancing organic chemistry made it possible to synthesize drugs to combat infectious diseases. There's need to constantly develop new chemical drugs to better target diseases and absent innovation, new pathogens to guarantee extinction, decreasing biodiversity, and spread between host disease, zero stress, and pure generic defense field 13. Drugs remain effectively brief for the rapid global trafficking situation in which emerging pathogens can be spread more efficiently, embracing mortality, counter biodiversity. Things go badly, wrong for community outbreaks, diseases cannot be treated. The future is field recipes independently. Competitiveness is key to U.S. dominance. We need to keep innovating faster to ensure economic prosperity and hegemony skill 4. Youth primacy depends on the ability to develop new technology, industry, scientific innovation, entrepreneurship, research, economic prosperity, military power, space, in the U.S. can remain dominantly but continue to innovate fashion laws and competitiveness results in great power conflict transfer that makes war inevitable and ensures the U.S. will be dragged in the culture heads bad effects to try or die for the AFCALs at 11. Shift American primacy towards a multiple global system lead to war moment powers perception and starving democrats the waiting collaborating striking other raider powers experiencing growth closing the gap and intensify geopolitical competition multiple power system resolve war moment powers fair to both world wars and race with calculation of the price balancing all accounts on contention to its terror college conservancy need place to prevent people from becoming trapped in echo chambers but college system is ruining that students are becoming war extremist listeners stating convinced that they are at war with an evil other plan for a date. Just as more politically polarized people become more radicalized or stating more they cluster with the like-minded there's institutions can help minimize self-forming communities higher education unfortunately rules neutralize the opportunity education makes possible having intelligence discussion of law and ideological difference academy encourages students to reinforce the walls of their echo chambers. The most important thing universities can do is instruction we fight offensive speech or contrary words that would reduce the likelihood of people viewing the other as societal evil and freedom of expression and allows extremist viewpoints to be challenged through debate which demonstrates their flaws and demotivates others from adopting the speech bans that only leads to hostility spread communities and pushback which exacerbates terrorism law and barrier 15. British work has potential dividing communities creating spiritual activities and further facilitates terrorism is essential to counteract radical movements through openness instead of limitation of speech that is purposed to defeat them through discussion tone for weaken empty distortion militarism our justification for violent pushback engagement empowerment and the best preventive tools in this is especially pertinent in the case of college students are much more likely to be recruited or adopt extremist views before 5. College campuses continue to be a fertile breeding ground for extremist movements blended among social activist groups students more likely to be open to radical philosophy of choice population radical communities to be young and energetic with time available to act alone wolf attackers are a unique threat hard to track due to no required communication and much more deadly due to lack of constraint 13. There's no decision making cycle creativity no concentration on violence they're not concerned with idly support causing government character there's no communication intercepted currently the biggest terrorist threat to the U.S. is white supremacist lone wolves they kill more American jihadists and show more desire to use WMDs than 14. White supremacist lone wolves post notice going to be terrorist threat attacks search fires extremists that attack government buildings law enforcement and minorities the power right terrorists approach seeking conventional weapons that generate mass casualties individuals acquire chemical biological weapons or politics or radiological weapons and dispersion of technology enables lone Market change, just keep that like as an analytic.
Okay.
Process.
Ready?
Yeah.
The roll of the ballot, where is it justified?
I think util is a justification for roll of the ballot.
Why does util?
Oh, I guess. Oh, if you're asking about why the judge should vote on a like post-fiat policy option, like typically I don't justify that in the 1AR unless it gets contested.
Okay. The innovation advantage. What group of college kids are curing massive diseases?
First of all, I think that Slater and ACTA talk about creating like a culture where people are taught to question.
What
so that would
group
spill
of
over.
College kids are curing massive diseases?
Okay, two things to this. One, I don't have to win that this innovation is done in colleges because being taught to constantly question things like spills over after you leave college, you go to work, etc.
What group of people are taught not to question things in science? What restriction exists in the status quo that tells people don't attempt to experiments?
Right. Okay, I'm answering your question right now. Slater 16 and ACTA 13 both indicate that when there's restrictions placed on hate speech, people implicitly learn that rather than questioning things that they don't necessarily think are true, they should just shut up and agree with like the common idea of what is right.
Okay, wait. So your argument is that when like trigger warnings and like free speech zones and stuff are shut down, people learn that scientific inquiry is bad?
I think you're missing a crucial link. The argument is about
people like missing crucial link.
No, the argument is that there's an educational culture being promoted. When you encourage freedom of expression that teaches people that you should reach out, that you should ask questions, you should contest things, etc. When you do not do that, people learn that they should not question things and they should not contest things.
What disease is coming now that we need to solve?
The 1AC doesn't specify, like, bird flu is a big issue. It indicates that there could be emerging.
For quite a bit.
It indicates there could be emerging pathogens. Like, I don't think I need to specify, like.
So we don't need a threat.
No. UL 13 indicates that the threat comes from an emerging, like, a mutation, an emerging pathogen. Like, it doesn't indicate. I don't need to win that there's a disease that's killing off everyone, like, in the status quo.
Okay. The terror stuff. What group of people who are so committed to destroying the U.S. that they're literally willing to launch nuclear weapons will be dissuaded by, like, free speech?
It's not a question of dissuading the terrorists themselves. Rather, it's stopping people from becoming terrorists.
What group of people are so able to be indoctrinated into terrorist ideals where they're literally going to
No. It's a slow process. The argument is that when you're put into an echo chamber, you gradually become more and more extremist.
Your cards say that the biggest threat now is domestic terrorism.
No, it is. Yeah, but a normal person becomes like an anarchist
Are there domestic terrorists in the status quo now who have these intentions?
Yeah, but Ackerman and Pinson 14 is specific to technological increases that have started happening right now.
Okay, the order is 1 off. Case after.
I'm good.
Everyone else good? Yes, you just? Mike,
I got it. Alright.
Okay, Jeff?
Neoliberalism structures the academic freedom of the status quo. It is essential limits on what acceptable behavior to call dissent and any faculty truly radical enough to challenge corporate hegemony and trust for the impose a real threat strategy. And Marion 14, a privilege of the market, a privilege of neoliberal, the ethics studies are religious scholarly jobs are welcome to professional on the academic research as more specific than the official press, the official community, faculty, the organization, universities, the culture, culture, fair message, identity, the academic foreign culture, the modifiable knowledge, dissemination from the university engagement from Canada, scholarship through institutionalization, find work for the development, privatization, habits, as scholarship, over the users, speak about serious cost, speaking about these, when these laws of life, the next the academy, scholars, with personalized students harassed, and free speech is an illusion propagated by corporates there, model rights achieved an equal playing field, and now just free market economies, through capital D, promotion of growth, free speech, practice the idea that a speech is commodity with strength, the dealers hold in the academies, round 15. Democracy is the move the range of the speech. Democracy is conceived of a marketplace of goods is generated by speech. Just the market of good speech by capital economization of political occurs through a conversation political process to economic ones of everything. I think it's a market speech will assure political capital's attributes and attributes to have calculated interest in exist solely for administrative barriers to interesting speech like capital push barriers to circular laws and persons or consumers of government interference of managed government disrupts market by banning speech speech capital or political freedom and surplus to the corporate corporation non-restricted speech they from the marketplace is part of speech government and the some opposition first amendment position speech as well as position government speech is warring federal government capital and this terms the case the commodification speech reflects the capitalist illusion of freedom and makes speech meaningless and kills value of life. Smith 14. Under capital, music quantities, course society needs to measure the behalf of these people are seeing substantial entities value really for but it's just to command resource the operating becomes illusion and made interest difficult to resist because they're oppressive freedom the cap is not meant for a reason for a sort of democracy equality justice rights and about the concept of illusion meaning social leaders longer economic principles and our critique independently outweighs the case neoliberalism causes extinction of massive social inequality is the app single issue legalistic solution is the case that kind of politics neoliberalism wants us to engage in so the root cause goes in question for about 15 ecological and economic crisis military we need transport politics to put on those cap instead of a system to moving these minutes six max station cap religious political inequalities economic landscape is littered with the rising concentration of wealthy capturing global project that cancel like for and the growth in the desensitization set on tragic course of nature for one solution tends to be legislative promising a different management should have possibility just for politics able to steer the system away from destructive balance all such politics will include the system fundamentals and the alternatives or lines class-based politics that works against the university's economic underpinnings only engaging and treat the focus on the economic tail forces at play in public universities can resolve capitalism schools and Wall 16. We also reflect an aspect that concerns our important class we actually the board's fitness as the activists the gas tolerance most of you what is the student saying for other than this research on the professors to tell you by the way the liberation collective the black liberation collective already includes the bachelor's liberty tolerance requires refusal to sovereignty we need to build alternative futures that were built racially essentially gender inclusive class-based relation liberating tolerance to terror but avenues for development mentality to oriented towards care and cooperation and the role of the judge to be critical analyst testing whether the assumptions of the outer validity is a question of the scholarship is good enough to pass the plan neoliberalism operates through a narrow vision of politics sustains itself through the illusion of pragmatism which refuse their demand for a plan blah log 15. Prescription is a participation in politics scholarship issues the production descriptive politics they make for political engagement and religion current frameworks the political pursuits for politics reevaluation of politics limiting political as well as intellectual potentially counter-hegemony these just represent only the example in narrative politics neoliberalism are considered challenges what can I message neoliberalism money news freedom one must recognize neoliberalism about social responsibility one must refuse to economic or cultural physiology neoliberalism replaces cultural concerns the means taking neoliberalism seriously approach was recognized neoliberalism generally appealing recognizing hegemonic status scholars you understand constantly more the demystification neoliberalism does not people over inequalities it justifies the critique should be opening a new conversation beyond the refuse to allow the economic to be a really neoliberal case. Terry Banish. Hate speech bans are good underground movements are less effective and destructive than they assault plenty of people who are just surprised and they allow for coalitions of targeted groups to fight back there. Assault the evidence just talks about how counter speech is good, but counter speech exists in the status quo if you don't allow more of it. There's no block to it in the status quo, Parker, as well. A ban on hate speech brings more modern members who themselves from many students go to underground they are publicity or respectful to these operations more difficult than the opportunity of the civil groups recruit members they ban on the man discrimination competition advantage of a strict community to other target groups in turn free speech makes domestic terrorist feel shut it down and makes them resort to more radical action ingrading for the marketplace to dysfunction self-building proxy because of the respective dominant groups about the marketplace harass model and the dominant groups based for self-serving police dominance or perspectives that justify the distance between stronger expressions and actions about unnecessary to overcome the marketplace players who consequently neither holders or dominant views are just feel the need for two questions all the the marketplace in turn government influence means people feel more under threat free speech allows extremists to be shouted down red tape confirms our problems with the government and the industry extremists anchor the system anger 84 the clear presentation to sell officials throughout prohibiting expression when last speech to set action first amendment versus state economic expression as soon as it comes close to being effective decibel ad hoc and vague the speakers receive no warning this process continues uncertainty which makes all speakers who represent radical doctrine may be expected to receive the little representation makes the Holy Spirit also encourages upon committing definitely disputes over position compared to speech over rather process focusing on whether the attraction be the biggest concern why the Jews should be allowed to stage a massive demonstration and their evidence already says there are radical groups in the status quo who have intention to do things and they are getting technology now which means just dissuading further people is not sufficient to solve their offense hedge. Hegemony cannot fight disease, terrorism, or promote democracy. Multipolarity is key. This means that this advantage is terminal defense to all their other advantages. Lindsay 3. Globalization limits record capacity to use the power to influence events. The attempt to create created by forces of globalization are not simple to American acceptance of combat here, disease for the watch weapons of WMD shares, security shares, local pride cooperation with the country, Germany, American war policy are woefully inadequate. Germany causes outsourcing, which results in escalation of global regional conflict and destroys foreign relations, pops in 2013 NATO, US security primitive, providing us parties in Europe and Asia with such a high level of insurance that they will be able to settle this trick their military outsourcing with their defense of Washington, the United States allies to be very more than their burden, but as its forward systems of defense, the US security guarantees also encourage public health to challenge more powerful states when coming to Washington will send them the annual Washington about the dodge bullets have one when the DP, in defense of the Chinese government Philippines, and Vietnam to I figured that they can no China over American boundaries to be see each other under the US umbrella, and it takes out their argument about and the causal evidence. First off, the causal evidence is garbage, offered after round, and two, the argument in that is that retrenchment is bad. Argument is that yes, retrenchment is bad, but they pursue a disease. Disease is one cause extinction, burnout, or variation. New York 14, diseases don't drive species, extinct, highly contagious diseases burn themselves out, many variations, some hosts, natural, resilient, RGMs, may continue in many, instance pathogen resistant genes, that's the whole population, and international actors check Wayne 14, 21 countries of W8, Asia work together on detecting, outbreaks of disease, public plan to, upgrade laboratories, communication, network, so, procedure, control, more quick nations, conference, accelerate progress, representative recommendation, only, we have to adjust the need agreement rule, target emerging infections means, solvency, but also it's not Berkeley students who are concocting all of the cures. It's other people.
Was everything right?
Everything but the last part.
Alright, the National Geographic one.
Yep.
Solid. Let's start. What exactly is the alt?
It is a question of changing our approach to the university.
So it's just a mindset shift?
Nope. The argument is we should approach active strategies. It references student movements, broad reforms with the mindset of sort of a class-based politics.
Alright, your first card, it says that neoliberalism controls academic freedom. It seems like the plan would resolve this issue, at least in the context of public universities. I don't really understand its implication.
I think the card perfectly answers that question. The argument is explicit that just having more freedom in academics is not is conducive to neoliberalism. It is the opposite of what you just said. The argument is that no one in the academy is able to sort of engage in certain things, not because they are silenced in free speech or they have some sort of ban on their speech. It's because they're quite literally just forced out of the academy. So it's not a question of but they can speak more. It is a question of what kinds of speech they're allowed to speak.
Right,
not
but the app allows for any form of speech. I just don't understand.
The app limits speech bans. It doesn't limit your boss saying, hey, if you teach this, we'll fire you. That is not a ban on someone's free speech.
Alright.
The second card also, I think, impact turns the conception that more speech is good.
Alright, let's go to Terra. You read the Pyrrhic's fault. It indicates the underground movements are less effective. However, this appears to assume that when you force hate speech underground, the groups that are forced underground are very small. However, the evidence indicates that rather than being small, they all group up together underground and then gradually become more extremist. Why doesn't that answer this card?
Our evidence explicitly answers that claim. It says, when extremist groups are underground, they are denied publicity and the aura of public respectability. This makes their operations more difficult and denies them the opportunity to link up with other similar groups. It explicitly says what you just said is not true. Now, when they go underground, there's no way for other groups to find them. These aren't all people living next door to each other. They're across different colleges. They have slightly different beliefs. They have different leaders. All these people, when forced underground, no longer have access to infrastructure.
For disease, there are specific warrants in Yule as to why decreasing biodiversity in the status quo specifically meant that things like generic defense no longer apply.
Okay, I absolutely don't think that's even vaguely true. The Yule evidence says biodiversity is a relevant consideration. It nowhere makes the claim that
where
it's going down.
Where is that answer?
I think there are a couple of answers. First, the York evidence indicates that is not the case that we are losing biodiversity and that we are naturally resistant to a lot of kinds of diseases. The Wayne evidence indicates that even if there's a problem of biodiversity, even if all of the thesis of the app is true, the way in which diseases are cured is through international cooperation and Obama upgrading a bunch of our
also status of
non-college
the
labs.
alt, and is it a pick?
Unconditional, and no, it is not a pick.
Great. 4 minutes starting now. It starts with innovation and terror, so I just want to see order. First on innovation, literally none of the links or internal links were contested, so I'm only going to shadow some consider 1680. It indicated when people indicated any sort of free speech restriction, it creates a culture where people do not question, where people are taught to be silent and to accept the dominant paradigm economist. 16 supports this interstate. I'm not going to go for the disease impacts. So I'm just going to do line by line on head first. Extending sequel 4 indicates competitiveness internally to the Japanese. This was never contested, so it goes to me. Cal's that protein is pretty good. It indicates it's a lot more recent than both parts of its evidence indicates that we is try or die to avoid things like retrenchment. It's in the context of the rise of China, which none of its evidence is as well. It also cites empirics while his authors are just theorizing and talking in the vague abstract. It indicates there's going to be great power war among nations if the U.S. is forced to pull out. You read a card that multilateralism is key. However, one, this card is from 2003. It's old. Two, doesn't take into account the rise of China. China doesn't want to partner with us. So what China needs to stay contained. Three, it doesn't give you a single empirical any empirics. However, Cal has talked about World War I, World War II being caused by multipolarity. Also, you say something about the next part is something about escalation. However, one, this only says the U.S. is spending more on defense. It doesn't mean that things are getting worse and the U.S. has to escalate. For also the arguments on Cal that have specifically answered. There's no war scenario unless we pull out to teeter high. Extend the piano Lombardi leads to echo chambers. Born 5 indicates that college. I'm just shadow extending the entire thing. And he says underground means there's less effect. However, this does not assume Simon 13. Simon 13 says when your views go unchallenged, it's a lot easier to recruit college students, specifically in the context of bigger groups like ISIS, instead of going out and radicalizing individual lone wolves. So that doesn't matter. You say people feel they're shouted down. However, this isn't the dominant form. It's adopted. You can see the Caleros, which gives empirical reason. Wait, that is not true. Also, Lombardi 15 also gives empirical reason. You say the third card literally goes off. It says state action is bad. I'm negative state action onto the king. First in K1, case that leads on time and probability. We have capitals for 100 years. Extinction itself happening. Case that at best for the negative, incredibly slow moving process for the African specificity to frame and thing. Actually, when if we prove way for events the most desirable policy often is the point fairness making the case if we register highly or the good sickness the witness which could be focusing on office, see some point infinitely regression and millions of words. Methodologies, etc. Allowing to choose one makes the research very impossible. See some point real world policy making you see the political around right influence, which is worse prone to the aftermath. In all their instances, there are a lot of capitals in the school after just a drop in the bracket, perm double bind, you can overcome all you can overcome the residual link, for no link. Their argument is literally the fact that I'm okay with the marketplace of ideas. I must support things like Wall Street, 5 perm do both. The net benefit not having the impact is the app. Also, you're just a mindset shift the app. Can't overcome capitalism and lead backlash. Word in 12. Anarchist is for participation in the capitalist economy. The goal of this week in capitalism is having his reducing his input into terms of both human labor and cultural legitimation. The option for withdrawal means partial business support. Who must work for someone else to survive, to buy necessity or not otherwise available for acquisition, market acquisition, 7 cap. Soft inequality. Current equality is caused by the resource acquirers, not cap, Smith 16. Global equality is falling. Europe seems tremendous gain in recent decades. China, India, Southeast Asia, poor countries start making the shift trade globalization. Play a big role. Resource corruption and blindness to real enormous direct problems has come with industrialization. 8 caps skip that and go to 10. Caps only sustainable economic moment or beta 12. Sustainable development is the only form of society that's part of this criterion. Democratic free market capitalism. Again, looking at the history of global, we know the fact that there have been until now no sustainable economy. Society self-organized and criminal system more recent. So copy the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, Congo, Somalia, but our court and residual national is precipitating some modern era, market era. First, go to where he said plans. Go to where he said illusion of pragmatism. One, we don't have your benefits discussion. Last, I can clash this is bad because we can never do anything good because we look for a solution that's also root cause for that does not exist. Your first card makes no sense. The after's office. You say free speech is an illusion because equal playing field. I don't assume an equal playing field. I talk about things like race new law, like in novels or something.
I did history in school. Oh, that would be so fun, actually.
And you literally live there. I didn't realize which part of it is on.
What is this stuff?
Library.
In a building. Yeah, it's like basically.
Oh, actually,
Never been.
True code.
It's hilarious. Like snowing.
Yeah, why does it say honey? It's just so far. Yeah. There's no reason.
And then he's here. Why wouldn't you want to get married?
Ready?
Yeah.
Good.
The case debate is over. You don't get access to your way. If you don't win a clear case advantage, they win on the cap the a terror advantage. Diversity park evidence. You cross bus stop and say that college students are sort of susceptible. But our argument is that if they're so susceptible, they get scared off like underground groups, which means pushing those groups underground, them not being able to have free speech is substantially better than the alternative, because otherwise they're given sort of the air of public legitimacy. They're able to speak out. They're able to have their movements out in the main part of colleges, which is obviously substantially worse than if they're just underground and like scaring college students. Maybe they might get a couple of recruits in the afterworld in the status quo, but they get substantially more recruits in the world of the app. Next, the Ingra evidence. There are only two cross applications here. The first is the Calero evidence, but you can see the 1 and T answer that says that this is the Calero part is just about sort of counter speech, but there's no block to that in the status quo, which means there's no reason to establish any more of that. The next argument cross application is the Lombardo evidence, but it ignores what the Ingra card is saying. The specific one in the Ingra card is that that within the sort of idea of free speech, in the marketplace of ideals, there are only sort of dominant narratives, and everything else instantly gets dismissed as being ridiculous, which means that radical groups, when they get more and more free speech, realize that just talking to people isn't doing anything, so they perceive the need to take more radical action to actually change people's minds or actually make a difference, cause them to be more radical. This they turn to the app will concede that this is the highest probability scenario, which is there like impact weighing at the bottom, which means you've lost this debate because you're losing the highest probability. But just in case, the last Ingra evidence is all of the warrants are conceded. The first is that there are already different kinds of restrictions when it comes to free speech. So, for example, a clear and present danger restriction, which is implemented after the fact and is never given a warning to, which means that even if people feel like they have free speech and can talk about now, they will be randomly shut down afterwards. It reconfirms what white supremacists have a problem with the government. They're like, oh, it's screwing us over. Let's vote for Trump. He'll change everything. This is exactly what they're talking about, is when they get randomly screwed over after they've said things. It also has a pretty clear terminal defense claim in that you shift the debate away from what we should do with people to instead procedural kinds of things as to where they should be able to talk about or what methods you do so. And this sort of a turn towards the procedural makes it kills all your solvency, because it means we never focus on how to convince people not to do the thing, but instead just what methods to do so. The hedge advantage, the poll said, first off, you make a bunch of post-dating arguments. Your cards are from 04 and 11. Ours are both from like 13 and 11, which means that at worst we're winning the post-date debate. The Lindsay evidence is not old. It's newer than all of yours, and you say it doesn't account for the rise of China. They don't want to partner with us. Well, maybe not generally in terms of like economic things, but in the context of stopping terrorism, they're happy to, which means that this controls internally to your terror advantage. The polls, the opposing evidence is really good. Your first argument is that it just says that we spend more on defense. No, it says a lot more. The next argument is cross application of the Calazad. Here is where the analysis is. The polls evidence indicates specific empirical examples where other countries see that we are increasing our military spending and feel like they don't have to ever protect themselves, but they also get like spicy with larger countries. So the example it gives is like when Taiwan started challenging China because they figured they could just hide under our umbrella, or when Vietnam started challenging China because they figured they could hide under our umbrella. All of these are what sparks conflict. Vintage is terrible because all of these countries think they can do us. Count Spear Calzad warns that retrenchment is bad because we say that the act sort of requires retrenchment in order to function, which you can see deterrent. At worst, this is defense to your head standard because it proves that you're not good for like stability. It's bad. The critique. We will win when they almost conceded, like the Brown evidence indicates that the idea of free speech is terrible. Your only argument is, we don't assume that everyone has free speech, but our argument is that you say that giving more speech solves things. It presumes that people are able to speak equal in the academy. Our argument is that they will be forced out. This is not a link of omission. Our argument is simply that when we sort of assume that people can do good with speech, it ignores how capitalism works. Either way, the far-right evidence is conceded. It indicates that single-issue legalistic solutions only challenging part of capitalism is exactly what neoliberalism wants us to do, is focus on individual technologies as opposed to the broader system, which is a conceded link argument, which means we wouldn't make the critique. It's just a question of the impacts. I'll compare them on the line by line. The first argument make is that the case outweighs one is strived after the alternative. Warming is happening now. We're in the midst of 6 mass extinction. There is still some probability claim, even if they would 100% try to link to their offense, whereas warming is happening right now, which means it outweighs. Second, we have defense on the case, which means you should prefer this. They don't read warming defense. The next argument is this framework argument. So first our offense, it's key to check new apps. You need the ability to we need the ability to test the assumptions behind the bill because they're designed, tiny new apps are designed to answer every single generic disout or counter plan. You say move 6 minutes the app offense. No, you're able to waive racks, things like the Zanotti evidence are offense for you. You say it's infinitely regressive. One, you should defend everything in the one you see. For example, if you said the N word, you wouldn't be like, oh, infinitely regressive. Then next you say it's key to real world. The Blalock evidence impact turns this. It says that pragmatism is exactly what neoliberalism wants to do because it stops us from challenging the overarching system. Next, the permutations. I'll do the ultimate here. The alternative is able to solve the case because you allow for actual free speech as opposed to free speech that is constructed by the academy. All of your arguments are like, will the spur innovation argument is only in the interest of capitalism. Means you don't get access to your impact, but only he'll be able to solve. The permutation is firstly intrinsic. It says all their instances. The all doesn't say rejected all the time. It just says in this specific space. 2, all the links are disads. All of these sort of legalistic solutions mean you corrupt our project and there's no net benefit because the all solve the case as well as defense. Next, you say no link. You only know about next to this no link. You say we only talk about the marketplace. Not at all what the arguments are. As explained above, the Gordon evidence is terrible. It just says that partial withdrawals are possible, which means that at the very least we have some amount of solvency. It does not say that it is impossible to shift. The Smith evidence it says it solves inequality. Where do you think that inequality comes from? This is all about poverty. Obviously, capitalism is controlled. Then the Bailey evidence about shifts is nonsense. Our argument is first it's tried after the alternative because extinction is being caused now, which means it is the only conceivable solution. No other system has led to extinction, which would you concede to capitalism, which means it's still comparatively better.